I was thinking about sometimes there's this saying that I grew up with, well, in the zeitgeist. Today is, what is today? It's 2025, it's July. Hmm. I think it's July 16th. July 16th. It's Wednesday. And it's around 10 a.m. in Sacramento, California, United States, west coast of the United States, northern part of California, northern hemisphere, from our perspective, Earth. So anyways, there's a saying, like when you're going through a hard time or people are going through a hard time, sometimes there's a saying that says, holding on for dear life. And that's a very cool statement because it acknowledges that life is dear. And then the definition of dear, I haven't looked up, but when I think about dear, I think about something that is precious, or it's a term of I was gonna say it's a term of endearment, but it's it's holding something or seeing something as precious, and I think of life that way. So there's some things going on at the shelter that I'm just like, God. What's been coming up is that God is greater, that God is good, God knows, and it's out of my hands. You know, this is it's not about praying for folks. It's not about I'm in a completely different, I've never felt the feelings that I've been feeling, and so I'm in a different position, and following the I'm acknowledging and recognizing how obedient I am, because I've been wanting to say stuff. The amount of disrespect, I just and so it's been a hold your tongue, and I'm always really careful about how I speak to people in general, so it wouldn't be like tearing anybody down, but it would be letting them know, like, yo, because people play back what we say, so I'm never cursing anybody. I'm not trying to get off subject and be, like, people be like, oh, they caught me. No, we're talking about this specific thing, so but I'm not allowed to, and so that's like basically let God be God, and continue to be joyful. I'm painting. I love what I do, so I love who I am. I love being of service. I love just having the vision and the vibration that there's a lot of good coming for me, a lot of good. I know what's going on. Obviously living in the steady U.S. I recognize the news and the little snippets I get about what's happening or what's been happening in the last 6 months. I've been paying attention. I have, and I'm also, I honor every single day. So right now for me, where I'm at, there's blue sky, there's trees, there's birds. I see beauty everywhere. Sacramento is known as a city of trees. So there's the Earth network here. There's so much energy, and that means that there's also a lot of communication. I spend a lot of time at the river, or riding by the river. I'm gonna say I spend a lot of time anymore, but river's always flowing. It's never the same twice. I drop my stuff off at the river. Things that are going on. I be like, and the river just takes it. And that's why I love water, and I was gonna say that's why I love water. That's why I love life. We would not have life without water. Water was here at the beginning. Genesis chapter 1-2. It's like, that breath over the waters, that dude. And so I've been very thankful for water in a more conscious way, because it's literally everything we see. And then to kind of go off of that, I was talking to somebody today that I had a thought from yesterday that everything we see is temporary. There's nothing that we see with our eyes that doesn't change, or, for a lot of times buildings like deteriorate, the trees, lose their leaves, they grow their leaves for the most part, right? Streets need to be repaired, and then these things won't, people change, it's not that it doesn't matter. Because obviously it's manifest physically. We're seeing it for those of us who see that way. But it's temporary. And eternal life is eternal. And that is, the way that I experience this. This is God. God gave me this. And I also work for it, and we've done a good job. That's the partnership, and it's been not just the 47 years, it's been, so, and it will continue to be. And the way that I got to this point is, through Jesus Christ. And that's from when I was young, there was the Bible verses, Sunday school, at the very early part of my life, and been given a Bible at age 4, and I could read as much as I could read, and I could write, because I have things in there with little purple crayon, and I have the date, and there's letters spelled backwards or written backwards. But I'm what I'm saying is that Jesus was introduced to me very early, and it was, yes, Jesus loves me, and I could sing that song. There's a verse in the Bible that I need to actually find, but it's basically like, there's a verse that God's like, if your parents don't want you, I want you, you're mine, right? So I grew up with that, knowing that in my head, because the people around me said they loved me, and I have to believe that I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt now and say that they loved me to the capacity that they could. But there was also a lot of jealousy, sabotage, grossness. And I'm not saying that there wasn't goodness. I perceived it that way, and I perceived it that way up until age 40, up until 2020, so 41. So it's like I was mistaken about how people really felt about me, or what people thought about me, or how confusing it was, how mixed it was. Because yeah, I can recognize, because that's what I was focused on, the love. And now I see more of the whole, and I accept the whole. Because if I did see or didn't see, I was kind of just pushing it aside, because I was focused on the love and loving everybody and hoping everybody got what they wanted and wishing the best for us and spreading the love and joy that God gave me all over the world, because I asked for that. I was like, this is when I was a little kid. I just had so much love in my heart and my life. I want to share this love with everybody. And this was young, like 5 or 6, very young. And I kept that going. That's one of the points. I kept that going. So no matter what it looks like, that was always there. And that child energy, that exuberance, that excitement to learn and meet people and meet information and create, that has always been there. And what happened to that young child that I always knew was there, I started to protect that child. I also had to, the child is sort of, this is kind of talking about a split, but the child in me was always there, is always here, and they also observed everything. And then when I reunited, and people call it healing the inner child, but for me it was just a reunion, or a consciousness coming together. There was a lot of information. That's what I'm trying to say, is that people talk about smart babies. Oh, that one's been here before. Yes, we continue to be smart. It does not, and there should be more respect if that is acknowledged. Do you know what I'm saying? If that's so, that's what I feel like my family kind of. I'm talking about the maternal family, that line, had a lot of instances that some people would call supernatural throughout our line, throughout our actual experience, and at the same time denied it, which is delusional to me. And then for some of us, and I have to just speak for myself, who took into account all of what I was experiencing, I was labeled crazy or delusional, and I'm like, this is not something that I'm going to argue with. I'm not going to spend any time. Same thing with God and my love for God and how I came to serve on a conscious step-by-step level. This was age 16. And the way it came about was a way that I think a lot of people would disapprove of, but it was a clear path for me, and it separated me from caring about what other people really think about my relationship with God. I was always hurt. I felt like hurt about it, because I would be like, I love my mom. I love, even if when we separated, I know how this sounds because it goes back. When I first had a relationship with God at age 4, that's my relationship started with wanting my mom to be happy and praying for her to be happy, because I thought if she was happy, the world would be happy and I would be happy and things would be good. When I got to age 16, I met a girl and I fell in love, and it was instant. It was at first sight. When I met her, I felt this feeling, but I saw this golden shimmery light kind of coming down, and things slowed down, and I was like, and I was born biologically female, and before this I'd only been with guys and only liked guys, and I was just like, there is a God and I'm gay. And those were the two thoughts that I had back to back in that moment, and it put me on a path of, I didn't understand God. I didn't, so I had heard the phrase God is love. So I was like, I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on love. And I was very grateful that I came into myself in a different way through love and through God at the same time as meeting someone that it's a gift. One of the other gifts on a spiritual level and spiritual warfare, dealing with people in my life, and the purpose of being here, being of service and bringing my soul signature, my vibration, which is the joy and love and exuberance and gratitude for being alive, and just the opportunity. And there are hard days. I'm not saying they're not, but inside there's always that, and hopefulness, So anyways, to get back to that, I know this is all over the place. I'm aware. I had a really good morning. I exercised. I did my yoga, which is about 45 minutes. And then I did this new exercise that is helping with chi. And you put your, I don't know what I'll do to show that. But you put your hands out like with your palms, but it's like straight out like that on both sides. And you hold it for a minute. And then you put your hands up like this, but meeting and being on your tippy toes, and hold it for a minute. And then you come down and you make a fist and bend the and put it out like you did originally, but it's not like this. It's like this, and hold it for 10 seconds, and then and do that 3 times. So I've done that a few times, and I did it today. Because I haven't been feeling well, and the exercise is it came up on my algorithm, and it's for energy, it's for life, energy, and in a different way than I get it through meditation and breathing and yoga. So it's a different thing, and so I'm doing it. I see. She said 30 days, and that's what I always say for people with gratitude. And sometimes people question, "How are you the way?" I'm like, it's because I'm grateful, and that's been since I was a teenager. 5 things per day. I used to write them out. Now I think them more. Writing it out is, my feet just got tingly. Writing it out is better for me, I think. And it's always, if you can't do 5, do 3. If you can't do 3, do 1. 1 is that we're alive, right? 1 is that you're alive, you woke up. So 5, sometimes I only get to 5. But a lot of times it just goes beyond that, which is nice. And so, why did I bring that up? Oh, so that's what I say for people who ask me I'll say gratitude. Do 5 times of gratitude for 30 days, and your life will be completely different. If you could do 30 consecutive days, even better. But as soon as it's everything will change, and I know that. So, where do I want to go? It's just nice. Oh, so coming to God and the surety that there was a God that is left through that encounter at age 16, what it did was separate me from my family in a different way, because that's foreign. The gay thing is, this was in the early mid 90s, so 94. So does that count as mid? 94 to 96 might be mid. So nobody in our family at that time had come out. So there wasn't a lot of direct experience with people who loved the same sex or who were in that arena. And I tried to say I think I came out to one of my cousins right away within the first couple weeks, because she asked me if I liked somebody, and I didn't want to go through the whole pronoun thing, like, oh, he, and just switching it up, which is what we did back then, which is like to, that person, he's not, it will be the made up boyfriend type of thing, or just switching. So anyways, I didn't want to go through that. Also, so no, I came out to the rest of my family by Thanksgiving the following year. I was 17 then. And it's because, you come back from college and people ask you how I went early. Once you say you come back and they'll ask you, how's your, have you met anybody? Do you have a boyfriend? And I didn't want to go through that question, So, let's just kind of, so yeah, I came out. Anyways, let me get back to the spiritual warfare thing, and not understanding my family were church goers until I was in my early teens, but they grew up in the church. Parents, deacons, preachers, both sides, right? So they were there. That was that. And so, and at this time, because I believe love wins, and love is the most important thing. Jesus was like, love one another. Love one another, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and then love your neighbor as yourself. But you gotta love yourself to be able to love your neighbor as yourself. And if you're loving God, you have to, I'm saying have to, that's not the words I want to use. What I've been working on recently is receiving the love that I've been giving. So right now, that's my relationship with life and God and the universe. And so as much as I love, and as much as I hopefully, which I do, add to people's lives in different ways, God gave me that gift. And God is greater. And so God loves me way more than I've been loving people, which I have. I be tired of folks too. But that's only been in the last 4 or 5 years. Before that, I didn't know I was tired of folks. I just was loving people more than, even if I didn't like something about somebody, I could love them based on what they loved. And sometimes people that I knew just loved being right. So I could love that about them. It goes all around. And that's why I did with everybody that I met. And so, but in the last few years, it's been more about being discerning about who I'm giving that energy. It's gold. It's gold. And yes, the energy does vibrate because we are that kind of. I'm that kind of being, and I always think pebble in a pond. And at the same time, who I am directly interacting with is what I'm paying attention to. And I am very careful about who I one-on-one with now. I was not as discriminate before, and I didn't need to be, because my prayer had been, God, place me in this list. God, put me where you need me to be, and bring the people into my life who need to be in my life, who I need to be, like it's a relationship. And that was a prayer from 25 on. 25 on is when I gave myself to God completely in all of my lives and all of my lifetimes and all of my existence and everything. And so God already knew that, but for me, I was living my life doing whatever I wanted to do, learning what I learned, and constructing my life in the way that I thought would be beneficial to creation. So I was gonna, not only mankind, not only earth, but all of creation. I had ideas. And then I had my own personal goals, writer, poet, wanted to make music, make films, write, have a family. Those were things that I had on a personal level. But beyond the personal level, I wanted to be of service. And so, and that is always what's been different recently is basically since I asked to receive, be more aware and receptive of God's love for me, things have changed. And so that's where the disgruntlement about being disrespected has come from. Because God is, it's I don't like to see people being treated some kind of way. So God has been I don't like that. And then God's been get out of the way. Literally stop. It's not stop praying for people. It's stop. Okay. How do I bring this one up? Okay. So in general, I dance every day. At least 30 seconds, but in general, I dance more than that. I'm moving my body around, and sometimes I'm bouncing around at the beginning of the day in the shelter, because I've already done my prayer, 30 minutes. I've already done my meditation. I've done what I needed to do to set myself up, and I was doing that as protection, because anytime I was stepping out to go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, there was always some mess that was going on. And I was so let me get myself together before I go out. So I've done what I could to give myself a good head start. So more in the last couple months, maybe since my birthday, I'm a May baby. I'm more bubbly and happy, before I even leave the gate. Sometimes I haven't left the gate until after 1400. A lot of times I leave before 10. So one of the security guards had said, you're really special because people, he said, you dance around, you da-da-da-da-da. And I was embarrassed at the beginning because I was I didn't know that I was seen that way. I didn't know I know how this sounds. I didn't know some of the cameras work, because sometimes so anyways, he says, yeah, I see you. And he said, you think these people, he uses other words, you think these people around here can be in this kind of spirit in a hellhole like this, and so it's made me look at myself differently. And I also know that that's always inside of me. And because I was able to walk away from family, even though some passed on, but even though I was able to walk away from family, walk away from somebody who I thought was the love of my life, so it's because the love that I was experiencing was so good in 2019 that I needed to keep that going. It was the best that I could do. I knew that. That's how I felt. And when I started to see people for more of who they were in totality, I got hurt. I felt really hurt and really betrayed, alone, dismissed, unbelieved. I didn't feel like I wasted my time because there's so much success in what I accomplished in the first 41 years of this particular life. But I felt like that is enough, and I have talked about it before in a previous, but I feel like I died in 2020. I was quarantined for the month. We know what was happening. People have opinions about that. But I was isolated, and there was a couple of days there. It's hard to describe, but for anybody who's had a near-death experience or has died, and people think all kinds of things about that, when you come back, or when it becomes like, what is important? What is really important here? What have I been doing? What have I been denying? What the values, maybe that's a tourist thing too, that's the focus. But I was like, what do I value? I value time. That's been a whole thing that's been for years. My time is really important to me, and I spend it wisely, deliberately, intentionally. I use my time, and I'm grateful for every moment. So that's part of dear life, to bring it to that, right? Even if time is temporal and made up, I'm still using it as a tool, as a construct. So I'm still interested in linear time. I'm interested in a lot of time. But what's I going with that? Before I got on that tangent. Oh, I guess I hadn't wanted to talk about it. Okay, back to the 16, the God is love, and the being attracted to somebody of the same sex, or being in love. It's not attracted, it was love. And when I say it, love, I was saying in the purest sense, in the knowing sense. Love in some practices, because love is wide and broad. In some practices, love is a practice. Love takes relationship communication. Love takes, there's a bunch of. But as far as like just the knowing, right? But my family counted me out after that. Because no way was I going to heaven sinning like that. No way was I, of God, being like that. And God is good. Because when I tell you, when I gave everything up to God when I was 25, God could use that. And then it's just been a loop, because God knew all along. But could use that as a time of discernment, isolation, knowing my worth, knowing my truth, knowing how to walk in it, the clear, and then to see who didn't value me as me, who believed something other than their own heart, which, there's parts of the Bible that say your heart can be deceptive, but you see me, you know my goodness, you know my sincerity, and you want to keep dismissing it, keep messing over it, keep benefiting from it, and then, oh, you're so naive, you look through the world, and I wish everything good for you, all the time, every time I saw you, and I listened to all the and was grateful to and happy to, and would do it again, but I don't have to, right? So in the last 4 years, it's been more like healing from that, the bitterness of knowing, and then the joy of knowing how God has revealed how God has worked through me throughout my lifetime. So that's why I'm skipping all around. But that's also how my mind works. And then I've also smoked. So today was it was cherry fluff, yerba mate, and vitamin diesel. And it was two hits. And I like rambling, and I like my mind. And I'm gonna share this because I'm feeling really good. Um, but yeah, the spiritual background. When I say spiritual warfare, you could say energetic. What else would I call it? You could just call it warfare too, because it's, as above, so below. So it gets acted out here in a different way, and for me, it was acted out in a very subtle way. It was not, I wasn't getting physically attacked. It was a lot of mental, spiritual, energetic, self-doubt, spells. Like, there was a lot. I didn't know any of this, though. I only knew, now I know, because of my energy is so free now. Now I know it was like, struggling, climbing, getting pushed back, getting stomped on, the hand held, and then the stepping on the neck. Like, there was a lot of things going on in the background, but my focus was loving, and I would never give up on and then just never going to give up. So I learned how to die, and that'll be another message. But I think that that's something that I learned how to die inside. People are afraid of death in general, but and that comes from ancestral history too, the traumas that we faced along the way. But to be able to be reborn, to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to carry this pain, or I can let go of this, that's automatically a new cycle. But I've had major ones, and I am not afraid to step out of the old me, because there is also a consistent me, and that's like God. What we know of God is like God is consistent and God has changed. Like, there are, I guess, what do they say in the Bible? I think it's more, God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, which is the perfect love, right? And because I think about nature, which is always changing, and I feel like God is in everything in all of life, so there's always a movement, there's always something, and even in the silence, that's always something. So God always is, because so it's not contradictory in the sense, because I just think of God as, right now I guess I think of God as movement, and this is contradictory. God is movement and God is silence. Damn it, should I edit this? Should I not post? How do I end it? God is everything. That's the main point. And in the consistency is the change for me. That's my relationship with God. It's like freedom and security. And I'm trying to know that more, experience that more, not just as a thought or as an energetic truth, but as a reality. And reality, that's a hard word for me to, but as a full experience. So this inner freedom, this inner joy, and this, physical security. That's what I'm looking for. Physical, in my tangible reality. And that means shelter, not a shelter, my own, and it'll happen because, or no, it'll happen as long as I stay alive, and that's that. All right, I'm gonna stop it. Bye.